Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks again for watching Poor Boys RC. Really glad you guys are all here to check out the unboxing of the Tamiya Super Sabre.
Excellent!
Now, this is the 2023 reissue. This kit originally came out in 1987, believe it or not. The Super Sabre is the cousin to the Boomerang. They're virtually the exact same vehicle, other than, some minor differences in the body, colored plastics, etc. And just like most Tamiyas, this is a full assembly kit, meaning you're gonna have to put this thing together. Now we're gonna unbox this and go through all that. In my opinion, that's one of the best parts of this hobby. Ready to runs are great. There's a time and a place for them, but there's just something about sitting down and putting together a kit by yourself. You really get to learn the ins and outs of the kit, specifically what makes it work, where some of the potential faults may be, and you really get an intimate kind of bond with your new kit. And I've noticed that in some markets, this kit does come with an ESC. Some of you guys are gonna notice a little sticker down here that says comes with a Hobbywing speed controller. Here, obviously, I do not have that sticker. In Canada, for whatever reason, it seems like we just don't get the ESCs in so many of these kits. So Tamiya, if you're watching, please throw the ESCs and send them up to Canada for us. We'd appreciate it. That Hobbywing 1060 is a perfect match for most of us in these kits. And like most Tamiya kits, this is a pretty bare bones unit. Remember, this is a replica, a re-release of a 1987 grade RC. So it's just got plastic bushings, a 27 turn silver can motor. But one thing that I absolutely love about this thing is that the body does come pre-painted and pre-cut. That is fantastic. I'm a big fan of Tamiya box art, so I'm very happy that it's pre-painted silver. For some of you guys that are looking to get it and want to do something custom and do a cool paint job, that might be a hindrance for you. So be aware of that this does come pre-painted and pre-cut. And I'll shut up in just a minute and get this thing unboxed, but let's just appreciate the box art once again, because the box art of these kits, it's just phenomenal. And I know a lot of you guys can relate to this. Remember being a kid in the 80s and 90s and walking in the hobby stores and you would see these boxes on the wall and just these action shots just look so good. They really take a lot of us back. I know they take me back. I love it. It looks awesome. It's got a monoshock in the front, which is the coolest thing in the world. Let's get this thing unboxed and see what it's all about. Now, in every one of my unboxings, you're always going to see me do a tire sniff, but I opened this box and opening the box was its own tire sniff in itself. The box smells like tires. I think it's the painted body. That's what I'm smelling. Paint chemicals, my favorite. As we discussed earlier, and as you see right here, we do have a pre-painted body and wing, which is interesting that it comes with a wing. Let's take a closer look at all of this winged nonsense. I did not know that this came with the wing. Would you look at that? Nice silver, good coverage. It's got a wing. Onto the body, let's see what this body looks like. Oh my gosh, how cool is that? Look at those lines, those angles. It's like a TIE fighter meets X-Wing meets, I don't know, some cool spaceship. And here we have the tray where the driver's head will be mounted here, and you want to kind of paint this black. I think most often than not you paint the inside black, kind of mutes it, and your driver's head's going to go right here. So it's kind of a dual purpose tray that's going to keep debris out of your chassis and also functions as a driver head mounting position. Here we have an antenna straw, which really doesn't get used these days a whole heck of a lot, but in a world of paper straws, it's nice to see a plastic one every now and then. Here we have our wheels, front and rear. Looks like we've got a slightly wider wheel for the rear and a slightly narrower for the front in a nice white. What's under here? Look at this. We've got some upper and lower A-arms, just like that. What do we have in here, guys? Let's take a looky-loo. This black parts tree looks to be, these are used on the front A-arms. Kind of an interesting way this is designed. It's hard to explain. I'll show it to you guys in more detail in the build video. And then here, this red parts tree. These are your rear uprights. Looks like a rear bulkhead for or shock tower for your rear suspension. Really, really nice deep red too. I love the red they use on this. Here we have the Tamiya ice scraper. Front bumper. airplane. Look at the size of this bumper. It's humongous. But yeah, bumper with integrated front skid plate. And back before we had 12mm hexes, we had these things. Triangular, 3-hole kind of a thing, and that goes inside the back of the wheel, and that's what locks it in place, and there's a pin in the back, and this predates 12mm hex technology. Over yonder, we have, looks like this is our battery tray, which will be located under the vehicle, the bottom of the chassis, along with some servo mounts, body mounts, some other goodies. And here are the front arms, upper and lower. And here we have our ABS bathtub style chassis. Pretty basic stuff. All your electronics are going to be mounted down here. Batteries going to be mounted this way across the chassis, back end, front end. And in our next bag, looks like we've got some gearboxes. Now we've got the large gearbox for the rear and the smaller gearbox for the front. And part of the unique design of the Super Sabre and the Boomerang, I love this 4-wheel drive imprint right here. And you've got a shaft that's going to be driven out here, taking the power from the rear to the front. And I think this kit is a particularly great sniffing value because, again, when you open it, you've got this wonderful odor of paint and manufacturing facility. And now we got the tires. Oh yeah. Woo. A smoky blend this time. Kind of smells like rubber and a burnt up motor. Ah, one of my favorite smells. What else we got in here? We have a little instruction booklet that's going to tell us how to drive safely and not to run into children. Fair enough. Ah, the Super Sabre manual. Look at that. Man, what a thing of beauty. And again, I say it in every video and I'll always say it. The best instructions in the RC game exist with Tamiya. This legend right here is such a game changer when assembling a kit. If you have any questions about the kind of screw you're supposed to use, 10mm or a 12mm, sometimes you can't tell the difference visually. Here you go, 1-to-1 scale on everything you're going to be building throughout this kit, which is just a lovely, it just creates a really awesome build experience. They tell you where to use grease, where to use Loctite. They tell you that you've got a lot of plastic bushings you're going to want to replace with ball bearings. Very, very cool. Best instructions in the game. Here we have our decal sheet. I'm going to call them decals so I don't get roasted by all my American friends this time. The Super Sabre, and it looks like these are not going to be pre-cut, which is a pretty common thing in the Tamiya world. And a big complaint of mine because I'm not a fan of cutting out stickers. I would much rather peel and stick. They're pretty limited on this body by the looks of things. This is it, you know, not too many, so that shouldn't take too long. And then the look at this, the big saber sword on there too. Man, that's so cool. Let's get this guy cut open, see what's really going on. All right, so starting at the top, we've got a bag of gears. So these plastic Tamiya gears are surprisingly strong, and it looks like we've got the 3-gear style differential here. I see a lot of guys in the forums asking, like, you know, what kind of power can I use? Don't limit yourself. These gears can handle a lot of juice. You don't need to upgrade to aluminum, if it even exists. I don't even think it does, but you can put a lot of power through these gears. They can handle a lot of abuse. Here we have our 3 red shocks. Monoshock for life, baby. Here's our driver, which we're gonna have to put together and do a little bit of painting on. We've also got our Tamiya Super Sabre. More red pieces for our shocks, including different hole pistons for adjusting your shocks. And we've got some spacers and stuff for the suspension as well. Here is our motor, the Tamiya Classic Mabuchi motor, 540. Good motor to start off with and inexpensive. This will get you going for sure. And then our parts bags, parts bag A, parts bag B, lots of screws. Looks like we got some nice big metal dog bones, lots and lots and lots of plastic bushings. We've got some silicone damper oil. We've got some springs for our shocks. This is definitely the shock put together bag. Bag D. This, if you can believe it, this coat hanger looking thing is your drive shaft. Why there's 2 in here, I don't know. I'm really curious why there are 2 in there. We're gonna dig into that in the build video a little bit down the line. Kit does come with some thread lock, which is kind of cool if you need thread lock in certain parts of the build. And bag E, where we just have some body clips, some small screws, and a little bit of foam tape, and front uprights. Well, that's it for the unboxing of the Tamiya Super Sabre. If you guys have any questions about the kit, throw them down in the comment section below. Always happy to get back to each and every single one of you. And as far as any tips or advice I could give you, if you're looking to buy this kit, pay attention if you're, whichever market you're in, if you're just going to come with an ESC or not come with an ESC. The Hobbywing 1060 that it does come with in certain markets is, in my opinion, the perfect speed controller for this buggy. So if you don't have an ESC in your kit and you do need one, I would recommend picking up a Hobbywing 1060. They're awesome and they're cheap and they're waterproof, which is really nice. Ball bearings are pretty much a must. If you're going to run this thing a lot, definitely invest in some ball bearings. Fast Eddie's a great brand. They make good ball bearings and they're not very expensive. And if you're cheap like me and you like to run on wet, salty sand, I always put ball bearings in my gearboxes. But then anything external like my wheels, I'll use the plastic bushings because they don't rust and they don't get full of sand. And they're very low maintenance. And I don't drive my cars a whole lot. It's because my collection's so big, I don't have time to drive them a whole lot. So the bushings don't really have enough time to wear out. They don't get enough use. And if they do wear out, I've got so many, you can always just replace them. Another thing you might want to consider is a motor upgrade right off the bat. Now this is a good motor. It's gonna get you in the door. It's gonna get the car going. You can jump it and have some fun with it. I'm not going to use this right off the hop. I'm gonna use something a little bit hotter just because I want a little more action out of mine. I think I'm gonna stick with brushed though. As I said earlier, feel free to go brushless in this thing because those gears can handle a lot of power. I've got a 10 turn in my hot shot. I run it on 2S and I bag the heck out of it and it takes a beating and it loves it. It can handle the power easily. So don't hold back if you're thinking about going brushless. Other than that, guys, I think that covers all the bases. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please leave a comment, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. It means a ton to this little channel that we're really trying to grow this year. And other than that, guys, stay tuned for the build video. And then we gotta get this thing out in the sand, wait for a day where the tide's nice and low. We can go bash this thing off some big sand jumps. It's gonna look epic. Thanks all so much for watching. Appreciate you all, and be excellent to each other.